What problems are you experiencing?
Are you tired a lot of the time? Are you struggling with brain fog, feeling stressed, or getting sick more often than usual? I'm sure a lot of people all over the world can relate to these different problems.
This is my colleague Ali, aka the fungi consultant, who is an expert in the benefits of functional mushrooms.
And this is my colleague Ben, who has a broad experience with mushrooms when it comes to cultivation and foraging and wants to learn the real deal about their health benefits.
We've certainly experienced these problems too, but fortunately, we found something unexpected that helped.
Yeah, in fact, it's not just one thing, but a whole kingdom of these things which have helped in a variety of different ways.
This video kicks off a series of courses we're launching about how mushrooms can positively impact our health. There are thousands of species to cover, each with its own chemistry, its own history of use, and its own potential benefits. The kingdom as a whole offers remarkable variety, and that variety is where the real story lives.
This advanced level training is specifically for wellness retailers, licensed medical professionals, nutritionists, and product makers who regularly get tough questions from customers and patients. We explain the science to give you the authoritative answers, for example, about the different bioactive compounds such as polysaccharides and terpenes, fruiting body versus mycelium, and of course the latest contemporary research.
To ensure that your clients can get the most out of functional mushrooms, they need expert advice to make the right choice to suit their needs. And this course is your year-round resource. We cover the mushrooms your patients or customers are most likely to ask about and give you practitioner-level knowledge to confidently explain the science, evaluate commercial products, and build a personalized integration plan. All right, Ali, would you like to describe some examples of the mushrooms we'll cover in the upcoming lessons?
Yes, so the first one I want to talk about is reishi. This is the most popular mushroom in Southeast Asia. It's been used for thousands of years and it's traditionally been recommended for dealing with stress, longevity, resilience, and helping with the immune system. The next one, which is the most popular mushroom being sold in the West currently, is lion's mane. This is valued for cognitive support and nerve health. Then next up, we have turkey tail. This is a powerhouse when it comes to immune function, specifically when it comes to the gut and digestive health, helping with your gut microbiome. Next, we have cordyceps. Cordyceps is my favorite fungus. It provides a whole lot of energy. It helps with endurance, assisting with fatigue, and it was traditionally recommended for helping with respiratory support. Next up, we've got chaga. This has huge antioxidant activity and inflammation modulation and overall immune support similar to turkey tail. The next one is maitake. This isn't spoken about as much as the other mushrooms, but it has huge benefits when it comes to supporting our metabolism and our immune system. And lastly, we have shiitake. This is the second widely most cultivated culinary mushroom, but it also has a lot of medicinal benefits when it comes to cardiovascular health and of course immune function as well.
Notice the variety here. Some support the nervous system, others the immune system, others metabolism or digestion. We're going to cover a ton of different mushrooms in the upcoming lessons, these and many more. In fact, each mushroom brings something specific, and diversity creates cumulative benefit across the kingdom.
So we have 4 different categories when it comes to mushrooms. Of course, gourmet mushrooms are widely spoken about when it comes to the culinary side of things. Mushrooms such as oyster, shiitake, and the highly prized chanterelle. Then next up, we have functional mushrooms. These are specifically used to support our health and physiological resilience. Then we also have the practical side of mushrooms, such as materials, bioremediation, helping with soil health, using in dyes, and wider ecological applications. And then lastly, the regulated side of things. Mushrooms contain psychoactive compounds that are subject to legal restrictions, and we'll be covering all of these in the course. But this course does focus on functional mushrooms, those with documented traditional use and emerging research around health support. Our other courses cover gourmet cultivation and practical applications.
Over this year, we'll explore roughly 10 to 12 functional species in depth, one highlighted each month, and then possibly many more within each month. Their biology, preparation methods, traditional contexts, and what contemporary research suggests about how they work.
What are functional mushrooms? When people ask me, what does a functional mushroom actually mean? I tend to speak about them in terms of mushrooms that have been historically used and also being used now in contemporary settings to support human health and resilience. They contain bioactive compounds that interact with human physiology in supportive and often subtle ways. But what makes them functional? Well, they contain compounds known as polysaccharides, beta-glucans, triterpenes, and other compounds that interact with the immune system, nervous system, and metabolic systems. So their effects tend to be supportive and modulating, working gradually over time. And when they engage with the body's existing systems, they can help to support the natural processes.
And of course, we're going to get into what all these words mean in the upcoming courses.
So the historical context is quite important when it comes to functional mushrooms, because we can ground the mushrooms in tradition to understand what pathways we should be looking at to see where they can actually benefit us. And there's a lot of documented use in Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine, Korea, Siberia, and other medical traditions spanning centuries. Mushrooms are integrated as parts of dietary and medical systems, which makes it a bit easier to create this kind of integrative system where there's not such a separation between our food and medicine. So often traditional preparation methods such as teas, decoctions, broths would have been employed, but now we're starting to see dual extractions combining alcohol and hot water to get the most out of the mushrooms. And so when we look at that, we can then look towards the modern research as a continuation of these traditions and the validation of the traditional observations.
We take the modern interest in functional mushrooms to build on centuries of practical use and observation. And this knowledge has persisted across generations because people found it useful and effective. So Ollie, could you give us a preview of some of this terminology?
Absolutely. One of the main ones that comes up, and probably the first one that I talk about as a concept, is mycelium. This is the vegetative network of the fungus, the undergrowth, where the actual fruiting bodies of the mushrooms come from. And the fruiting bodies are the reproductive structure, the actual mushroom itself, where the spores will come out from so the mushroom can reproduce. Then a conversation is extract versus powder. This is looking at the pure dried mushroom powder versus compounds which have been extracted out of the mushrooms to create something known as an extract. Beta-glucans. Beta-glucans are the primary immune-active polysaccharides. Often there will be some confusion between polysaccharides and beta-glucans, but it's just important to remember that a beta-glucan is a type of polysaccharide. And then lastly, adaptogen. This term is widely used for many different plants and fungi, but it is something which can help our body to adapt to different stressors in our lives.
So why are we doing this course now?
I don't think it's a coincidence that mushrooms are showing up possibly when we need them the most. It does seem to be that there's an increase in chronic stress, immune system strain, cognitive load and nervous system fatigue, people having digestive challenges, systemic inflammation, long-term, low-grade chronic inflammation. And there's growing interest in systems-based, relationship-focused health approaches. And functional mushrooms really tackle all of these different things. So I think that's why functional mushrooms, possibly above the other botanical supplements, are becoming so popular.
We want to bring together all mushrooms, but functional mushrooms in particular offer a way of thinking about health that is slower, more relational, and grounded in both deep tradition and contemporary biology. They build resilience over time through consistent, patient engagement.
Absolutely, and as we move through this year together, we'll build a working knowledge of specific mushrooms, how to prepare them, and how to think about integrating them into health practices. We'll stay grounded in what's known, honest about what's uncertain, and respectful of both the organisms themselves and the traditions that preserve this knowledge.
Please subscribe to the channel to see our upcoming videos, and to be sure you're notified as they come out, go to NourishCap.com and subscribe to our newsletter. I'm Ben Ashbull from NourishCap.com.
And I'm Ollie Gembash from thefungiconsultant.com.
Thanks, and much love.
Much love.